Praise the Lord. Welcome to the channel. In today's video, we are going to view the Psalm chapter 9. So, Psalm chapter 9 and along with Psalm chapter 10 taken together form the first of the acrostic Psalms, though it consists of 38 verses altogether, or a very irregular representation of Hebrew alphabet of 22 letters. Marvelous in verse 1 is an adjective used in the Old Testament to describe the supernatural. David thus looks on God's deliverance and praises him for it in first 10 verses. And in remaining 8 verses, that is 11 to 18, after inviting the believing community to join in his praise, the David prays for God's ethical rule to be established over wicked men in 19 and 20 verses. So, though these two chapters go together, Psalm chapter 9 consists of 20 verses, which is so much so that early Greek and Latin verses treat and number these two chapters as one. However, Psalms chapter 9 and 10 evidences two different forms. The first is an individual hymn, while the second is an individual lament. In the first part, that is verses 1 to 12, praise is prominent, and in the second part, that is 13 to 20, prayer is prominent. So it is a combination of praise and prayer. Many subtle patterns weave the thoughts of its verses and lines together, shifting back and forth between the individual and corporate perspectives is characteristic, as are introverted, that is style, structures. Basically, David's hymn is Psalm chapter 9 ebbs and flows through two respective tides of prayer and praise. First tide is a divine justice and praise. First 12 verses, in which first 4 verses is an individual praise and divine justice, and 5 to 12 verses is a divine justice and corporate praise. And second tide is divine justice and prayer, which comes in verses 13 to 20, in which verses 13 to 16 is an individual prayer and divine justice, and 17 to 20 is divine justice and corporate prayer. So in this Psalm chapter 9, the new element of this title literally reads death to the sun. Many conjectures have arisen about this puzzling phrase, but it is safest to regard these words as designating a particular tune. In first two verses, I will is repeated 4 times, which launches with David's dedication to exuberant worship of the Lord. Let's have a brief summary of both Psalms chapter 9 and 10. These are considered to be David's one psalm. The Jews thought that he wrote it after he killed Goliath. The first part says that God beat the foreign enemy. The second part says that wicked men in Israel are making the helpless into oppressed people. The reasons for thinking that it was one psalm are: Psalm chapter 10 has no words at the top about David or music. This is not usual in a psalm by David. Second is, Hebrew words that David did not often use are in Psalms chapter 9 and 10. And lastly, these two chapters make one acrostic. Acrostic psalms use the Hebrew alphabet. The first bit starts with the first letter, the second bit starts with second letter. This happens until the alphabet finishes. After a time, some of the letters became lost or mixed up. Also, the Jews decided to make them into two psalms. Some Christians, for example, some Roman Catholics, have put them back together as one psalm. It is difficult to write an acrostic psalm. The words sometimes go in a strange order. This makes them hard to understand. It may give you help if you change the order of the words. The acrostic psalms, other than these two chapters, are Psalms chapter 25, 34, 37, 111, 112, and the biggest 119 and 145. The Psalms are Hebrew poetry. The poetry is when people write the words in a special way. They sound very beautiful. The Jews had a lot of rules for writing these poetry. One was to make the ends of the words sound like each other. We call this rhyming. Another rule was to make the ideas sound like each other. We can look this in Psalm chapter 9 and verse 8. The two parts mean the same. This often gives us help to understand and to translate a psalm. Another way the Jews wrote poetry was to use an acrostic. This often made the words come in the wrong order, like in chapter 9, verse 3. Not many of the Psalms are acrostic. We do not usually translate them into English as acrostics because there are 26 letters in English alphabet, but there are only 22 in the Hebrew alphabet. Now, let's get into this chapter. Psalm chapter 9. To the chief musician according to Mutlabin, a psalm of David, to the tune of the death of the sun. Verse 1. I will praise you, O Lord. With all my heart I will tell of all your wonders. I will be glad and rejoice in you. I will sing praise to your name, O Most High. These are first two verses. Verse 3. My enemies turn back, they stumble and perish before you. Verse 4. For you have upheld my right and my cause. You have sat on your throne, judging righteously. Verse 5. You have rebuked the nations and destroyed the wicked. You have blotted out their name forever and ever. Verse 6. Endless ruin has overtaken the enemy. You have uprooted their cities. Even the memory of them has perished. So David is very happy. He says thank you to the Lord. Why? Because David beat his enemies. David knew that God gave him help. It was God that really beat the enemies, not David on his own. God judged that David was right and the enemies wrong. The enemies were probably Philistines. Goliath was a Philistine. So next, verse 7. The Lord reigns forever. He has established his throne for judgment. Verse 8. He will judge the world in righteousness. He will govern the peoples with justice. Verse 9. The Lord is a refuge for the oppressed, a stronghold in times of trouble. Verse 10. Those who know your name will trust in you, for you, Lord, have never forsaken those who seek you. God is always ruling the world. Sometimes it is hard to believe this, but it is true. Sometimes we must wait a long time for his righteous judgments. Righteous here means this: judgments of God are the best judgments. While we wait for his judgments, what can we do? Psalms chapter 9, verse 9 and 10 tells us we can look for the Lord. If we do this, the Lord will find us. Trust in the Lord. If we do this, the Lord will give us help. Hide in the Lord. If we do this, the Lord will make us safe. Next, verse 11. Sing praises to the Lord, enthroned in Zion. Proclaim among the nations what he has done. Verse 12. For he who avenges blood remembers. He does not ignore the cry of the afflicted. Verse 13. O Lord, see how my enemies persecute me. Have mercy and lift me up from the gates of death. Verse 14. That I may declare your praises in the gates of the daughter of Zion, and there rejoice in your salvation. When God finds us, gives us help, and makes us safe, that is not the end. We must always give praises to the Lord on our own and in church, and tell people about God, our family, our friends, those we work with. Many people will not like this, as they made life difficult for David, so they will for us. So we must pray, have mercy on me, O Lord. These are the words that some churches still pray in Greek. Kyrie eleison. God's mercy is when He is loving and kind to us and not angry. Now, verse 15. The nations have fallen into the pit they have dug. Their feet are caught in the net they have hidden. Verse 16. The Lord is known by His justice. The wicked are ensnared by the work of their hands. Here we can see a word, Higgaion and Selah. Higgaion is a meditation, probably it may be a musical notation, and Selah, as I said you, it's a remembrance. We must recall and reread, remeditate this verse again and again. Verse 17. The wicked return to the grave, all the nations that forgot God. Verse 18. But the needy will not always be forgotten, nor the hope of the afflicted ever perish. Verse 19. Arise, O Lord, let not man triumph, let the nations be judged in your presence. And verse 20. Strike them with terror, O Lord, let the nations know they are but men. Selah again. So we must meditate this again and again. In this Psalm chapter 9 verse 6 we read, you killed them. And in Psalm chapter 9 verse 15 and 16 we read how God does this. Often people kill themselves or each other. The plan that they made to kill their enemies kills them. They go to Sheol. The Jews thought that Sheol was a dark place. It was under the ground. The psalm finishes by telling us two things. God will remember the oppressed even if they have to wait a long time. And God will teach men and women that they are only human. It is only God that is really powerful. So what we come across this chapter, Psalms chapter 9, is when there is trouble in our country, we must pray to God about it. Now we are coming across a great, terrible terror across the whole world. We must pray for each and every soul to depend on God and to overcome this terror. A country may fight another country. Pray to God about it. Pray for your government and your soldiers. Some of them may be Christians. Pray for justice. It may not matter which country wins. What matters is that God still rules the world. When you pray, talk to God in your own words. In singing this psalm, we must give to God the glory of His justice in pleading His people's cause against His and their enemies, and encourage ourselves to wait for the years of the redeemed and the years of recompenses for the controversy of Zion, even the final destruction of all anti Christian powers and factions to which many of the ancients apply this psalm. So that's the Psalm chapter 9 review. Hope so you got some hopeful words out of this review. We'll see you in the next Psalm chapter 10 review. Until then, God bless you.